As state funding continues to decline, universities are being put in a tough position financially.
It's not anything new, but it does keep getting worse. This year, the UM system's budget could go down by as much as $80 million. In an ABC 17 News special report, ABC 17's Alyssa Toomey joins us live from the MU campus.
And Alyssa has been digging into what options universities have for revenue and what effect the lack of funding has for higher education in our state. Alyssa.
Yes, Joey and Ashley, and this is an even bigger problem for Mizzou since the university has faced a significant drop in enrollment in recent years. Now, to make matters worse, tuition increases in our state have been capped for at least a decade, so there's not a lot of flexibility in the university's budget.
Right now, we are running very lean.
Money is tighter than ever at the University of Missouri and across the UM system. This year, Governor Greitens' proposed budget cuts core funding for the UM system by 10%. That's after last year's 9% cut and more than a decade of decreased state funding.
When states don't invest, inevitably something has to happen.
What happened was hundreds of job cuts and a shakeup of major departments. But if funding issues don't get fixed, system leaders say we could be looking at round two.
Back in June, we announced that there were going to be more than 500 staff and faculty separations. And that was with a $40 million cut from the state. And so that's what we're trying to avoid.
This year, twice as much, about $80 million, is at stake, so leaders are looking for ways to make up for the lack of funding. UM System President Moon Choi says they're asking for relief from Senate Bill 389. That's the bill that puts a cap on increasing tuition based on the Consumer Price Index.
It's very important for us to have the flexibility to charge tuition that'll be tested by the market.
This is a competitive market, and so what you want to figure out is what's the price that someone's willing to pay to consume or enjoy or invest in a University of Missouri Columbia education.
Senator Caleb Rowden has filed a bill that would lift the tuition cap, but only in years when state appropriations are cut.
What we're trying to accomplish is just to give some stability and some certainty to higher education institutions.
President Choi is optimistic about the legislation.
I am incredibly hopeful.
The possible repeal means students could be paying more in the near future.
Senator Rowden's bill says tuition could not increase more than CPI. Let's assume 2.1% plus 10%. So tuition couldn't go up more than 12.1%. Mizzou's yearly tuition is about $11,000, so that means it could only go up by about $1,300 at the most.
That's still cheaper than the University of Iowa, but about $2,000 more than KU. If the tuition cap is lifted, Choi says the UM system won't lose sight of affordability.
When we increase the tuition, we're going to be mindful of the cost of attendance so that we put more resources into need-based scholarships for our students.
They would never go to a place where they're pricing themselves out of the market, right? Because if they do, then enrollment's going to go down, and they're going to have a whole nother problem on their hands.
We're already seeing some of the problems here. See all of these students? President Choi says there are more students in Arkansas than there are in Missouri, meaning a less educated workforce in our state.
That represents a brain drain. The likelihood of that student who goes out of the state of Missouri to study leads to a higher likelihood that that person will stay in that location to further their careers. We want to have those students pursue their careers here in Missouri.
What does that mean then for the economy of our state, 20 years down the road?
Right. Well, it could be potentially devastating.
Not only do universities help produce an educated workforce, but there's also long-term value for the student.
The value added of a bachelor's degree versus a high school diploma means over a person's lifetime about $1 million in purchasing power. If I told you, I'll give you $1 million if you give me $250, you're probably going to take that bet every time.
That's one reason why many lawmakers say investing in higher ed is imperative.
To implicate that investing in higher education is optional, I think is asinine. I think it is, again, it's incredibly short-sighted.
Experts say it's a strong investment for the student and for our state.
We expect our economic impact to be above $3 billion per year.
That return is more than 7 times the state's initial investment.
We have to think longer term. We've got to do it, because if we don't, we will put the next generation in a box that they may not be able to get out of.
An investment in higher education is an investment in the future.
Senator Rowden tells me he's confident they will be able to repeal Senate Bill 389, but if lawmakers can't come to an agreement, that could likely mean more layoffs and more program cuts at MU. Live on Mizzou's campus, Alyssa Toomey, ABC 17 News.
The House and Senate are working on their own budgets now. Senator Rowden says he's trying to find more funding for higher education.